Hello, my name is Michael Ingalls with WorldWater Solar Technologies. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to set up the SHEPS reverse osmosis water purification system. Here is the SHEPS system as it would be packed in a Pelican case, and we'll go ahead and set up the components and you can follow along. So yeah, we'll do the pump first and then work backwards. The first thing we want to do is attach our inlet hose to our submersible pump assembly. Yep, got it. The pump assembly is a double pump submersible pump with built-in flotation. When it's in the water, it will actually float inverted, so the intake screens will be submerged. When you lift the pump, always make sure to hold the metal frame. Don't support it by a hose and don't support it by the electrical connections, because over time that will damage the pump. So you'll put this in your contaminated water source. Make sure that your pump is completely submerged, and then run your hoses and electrical connections back to the water purifier. And we're going to be a little bit short here. Let's go ahead and put this up here. Let's see if we got enough. We might be able to do it this way. So your water hose with your source water is coming up to the water purifier. We'll open the hose access port on the front of the machine. And then we will extend our various hose assemblies. Green tag is your wastewater, your brine stream. No tag is your supply hose, and the fittings are all designed so that it's impossible to mix up the hoses. We'll connect this up. This is our source water again. Now our waste stream, our brine hose, is here, and there is an extension for that, which is also tagged mating green color. Now when you are picking a location to dispose of your brine water, your waste stream, you want to dispose of it away from the area you're water purifying, but you do not want to put it back into your source, especially if that source is a well. And not only will you stir up sediment in the water source, making your filters work harder, sometimes there are local customs or public relations issues, and you don't want to put contaminated water back into your drinking water source. So run this away from the area that you're purifying in. The last hose that we'll hook up is our product water hose. And again, we'll go through the hose port. And again, it's a unique fitting, so it can't be confused with any other hoses. Connect that, bring it out, and this will be our product water. Now, before we power the system, we want to make sure that our hose connections are correct, which we've done. We also want to make sure that we have a new or serviceable 5-micron sediment filter in our pre-filter housing, which we've already done, and make sure that that's tight. There is an indicator on the top of the filter housing, which is green and red, and that will gradually change over the course of operation. Green means that the filter is serviceable. Red means that you need to change your filter. Now, even if it is red, you probably will still get clean water, but your flow production will be reduced. So that is to monitor your pre-filter. Your gauge here that we'll be monitoring is a pressure gauge for the booster pump, and this will normally operate in the 40 to 60 psi range. The pressures will increase depending on the salinity of the water that you're purifying. This is a flow gauge with a ball that moves up and down. Typically this will be in the 18 to 20 gallons per hour range during normal operation. We'll go ahead and set up our power source and start purifying water. For today we're going to be using a 2 kilowatt generator, and the system itself operates on 24 volt DC. So to take the 110 power from the generator, we'll need to convert that through a converter box to our 24 volt DC. So we'll go ahead and plug our converter box in. This is our output of 24 volt DC, which we will connect to our submersible pump. And again, the connections are designed so they only go together in the correct manner. This is our on-off for our pump, so we'll leave that off for the moment. Go ahead and we'll start our generator. Now, before we actually turn our pump on, we'll come back to our water unit. If this is put away and has been stored, it should have storage solution in the system. Before we can produce drinking water, we need to purge that storage solution from the system. The way that we purge is we will open our pressure relief valve, one turn, leave that loose. This removes all the operating pressure from the system and allows it to flush freely. I'm going to go ahead and turn the pump on, and then we'll let this flush. Typically you would flush your system for 20 minutes, and then at that point you would start producing product water, and you would want to test that water to make sure that it is potable. But after 20 minutes of flushing, the reverse osmosis membranes will be making potable water. You can follow over here. We'll turn the pump on. So our pump is moving water through the system. If you follow our brine hose and look out, you'll see water coming out of the brine hose. I don't know why it's starting, but and so we will let that purge for 20 minutes. Now, this system is actually already purged. So if you come over here, we'll move to the next step. If we're going to produce drinking water, you want to go ahead and close your pressure relief valve. And once that's closed, now you will actually watch your pressure gauge, and it will increase. And your high pressure booster pump will start cycling, and you'll see the gauge fluctuate, representing that cycling. And you see our flow meter, and we're right around 18 gallons per hour. Now that fluctuation that you're seeing, that is normal, and that is just the operation of the high pressure booster pump. We are producing potable water from our output hose, and again, the capability of this system is 18 to 20 gallons per hour and roughly 400 gallons per day. Now, once this water is produced, it needs to be put into a storage container. And you would want to chlorinate the water in that storage container so you have some residual disinfection. What is provided to do that is, excuse me, we have a chlorine generator that's included in the kit. This will produce chlorine from regular table salt and water. And then also included in the kit are chlorine test strips. And these will allow you to periodically test the chlorine level, the disinfection level in your stored water that you've produced. Now, a note about maintenance on the SHEPS RO water purifier is that during normal operation you would want to observe a few things in your case to make sure your system is operating properly. First and foremost, you want to monitor your flow level. And if your flow level from startup is at 18 to 20 gallons per hour, if there's a noticeable change in that flow rate and you're running on a stable power source, then you want to explore why that flow rate has changed. Now, during solar operation, if a cloud comes over, you will see a decrease, and then when the cloud passes, you'll see an increase back up in the flow rate. But right now we're running on a generator, so we would expect this flow rate to maintain a constant level of 18 to 20 gallons per hour. The other thing you want to monitor the system for is leaks. You want to just check your fittings and make sure that any of your plumbing fittings that are in here are not leaking, no spraying water. If the case does get wet or the components get wet, you're not going to harm anything. The case can be operated with the lid closed to keep dust and sun out. But you're monitoring for leaks. Your pre-filter system, you're monitoring your pressure differential valve on the top, and that is green. It will gradually shift over to a red color if this filter gets loaded up and is dirty. There is an included filter wrench, which is permanently attached, which will allow you to open that pre-filter housing and change your pre-filter. To change that pre-filter, it's a paper sediment filter element, 5-micron filter. For the first several times, you were able to actually wash that filter. So remove it, wash the outside, wash the sediment off, and you can reinstall it and monitor that your flow rate has increased back to its normal level. Now, from a storage standpoint, if you're purifying water on a daily basis, then you really don't need to do anything other than put the machine away with clean water in it, and the next day you can start purifying again after a 20-minute flush period. If you're going to store the machine for more than 5 days, at that point you should actually go through the proper storage procedure, which is outlined in the manual. But an overview of that procedure is that you will collect several gallons of fresh water. You will mix, according to the manual, you will mix a SC1 storage compound into that clean water so that you have a storage solution. And then you will run that storage solution through the machine for a period of time, 10-15 minutes, to make sure that all of your hoses, all of your membranes, all of the pumps have storage solution mixture in them. That will prevent bacteria growth in your membranes and in the machine for extended periods of storage. One other note is that if you're going to store your machine in below freezing temperatures, you need to do something to prevent the liquid in the machine, in the membranes and filters, from freezing. The easiest way to do that is to use propylene glycol antifreeze. Commonly that would be RV potable water antifreeze that you can buy locally, at least here in the United States. But you want to use some antifreeze that's compatible with potable water systems. You do not want to use automotive antifreeze because that would contaminate your membranes and damage the system. Now, a note about maintenance on your submersible pump for your SHEPS reverse osmosis water purifier system is that periodically you would like to check and make sure that the inlet screens on your pump, which are right here, are not clogged with mud or debris. The other thing you would check is just to make sure that your hoses are not kinked, that your wires are not pinched, and periodically just check in on your pump and make sure that it's floating the way it should be, and that there's no apparent damage to it. After you are done pumping for the day, you would want to rinse this off with relatively clean water to make sure that your intake screens, which are on the sides, are clean and free of any sediment, any debris, so that you're ready for your next use. A note on packing your SHEPS reverse osmosis water purifier is after you've ceased operations and packed all your materials in, show you the basic load plan. The submersible pump assembly fits in this location with your wiring harness coiled here. Your waste stream hose goes here. Your input hose goes here. This is your storage compound and chlorine test strips. They can just store in there. You've made sure that all of your filters are dry, and if it's going to be stored for longer than 5 days, that you have storage solution in the system. And then you just go ahead and close it and latch and button it up.